guys, how's it going? I wanted to come on and read Miss Nelson is Back as your bedtime story for today. For my friends that were in class today, we started the book, but we didn't get to finish, and we came to a really interesting stop before we got to go home. But I want to go ahead and finish it today as your bedtime story. I hope that you guys enjoy it. Thanks for coming back for another read aloud. Go ahead and get comfortable, get cozy, get in your bedtime PJs, make sure you've brushed your teeth and you're in bed. Let's go ahead and get started on the book, okay? Let's go ahead and get started with our book. Miss Nelson is Back. One Friday, Miss Nelson told her class that she was going to have her tonsils out. "I'll be away next week," she said, "and I expect you to behave." "Yes, Miss Nelson," said the kids in 207. But at recess, it was another story. "Wow," said the kids, "while Miss Nelson is away, we can really act up." "Not so fast," said a big kid from 309. "Haven't you ever heard of Viola Swamp?" "Who?" said Miss Nelson's kids. "Miss Swamp is the meanest substitute in the whole world," said the big kid. "Nobody acts up when she's around." "Ooh," said Miss Nelson's kids. "She's a real witch," said the big kid. "Ooh," said Miss Nelson's kids. "I'll just bet you get the swamp," said the big kid. Look at how frightened they are. They're so scared. On Monday morning, Miss Nelson's kids were all in their seats. They were very nervous. Some of them had not slept all weekend. "If we get the swamp, I'll just die," said one kid. They heard footsteps in the hall. Slowly, the knob turned, and the door opened. It was Mr. Blansworth, the principal. "I shall personally take over this class," he said. Miss Nelson's kids were so relieved. But they soon learned that Mr. Blansworth was not a lot of fun. Look, all of a sudden now they're happy that they don't have the swamp, and they got this guy, the principal. However, the book tells us that he is not a lot of fun, so let's see if they still look this happy in the middle of the story. All morning, Mr. Blansworth tried to amuse the class with his corny card tricks. "Oh, brother," said the class. That afternoon, Mr. Blansworth showed the class his favorite shadow pictures. "This is kid stuff," said the class. The next day, Mr. Blansworth demonstrated his favorite bird calls. They were not a success. And for 2 days, Mr. Blansworth showed slides of his goldfish Lucille. Miss Nelson's kids had never been so bored. Look at Lucille. You guys think she's as cool as Goldie? I don't think so, but it's a pretty solid goldfish anyways. While dusting erasers in the schoolyard, 3 of the ringleaders of 207 discussed the situation. "Something will have to be done," they said. "We must get rid of Blansworth." And they hatched a plot. Remember, friends, we talked that a plot is just another word for a plan. After school, they painted and sewed and borrowed some old clothes. And then they practiced some very difficult stunt work in the backyard. The next day, they weren't in class. "That's too bad," said Mr. Blansworth. "They'll miss all the excitement." Mr. Blansworth was about to show the class his collection of ballpoint pens from all over the world when someone came to the door. Slowly, the knob turned, and the door opened. Who do you guys think it is? "Oh, look," said the class, "Miss Nelson is back." A tall and lumpy Miss Nelson tottered into the room. Does that look like the real Miss Nelson, guys? Mr. Blansworth was surprised. "You're back sooner than we expected," he said. The tall and lumpy Miss Nelson didn't speak. Said the kids. "Her throat must still be sore." "Are you sure you're well enough?" said Mr. Blansworth. "She's sure," said the kids. "Well, in that case," said the principal, "I'll be getting back to the office." "Nice to have you back, Miss Nelson." And he left the room. Oh, goodness grief. Mr. Blansworth is just going to leave. And he's going to leave the kids with Miss Nelson. But to me, friends, that doesn't look like the real Miss Nelson. I mean, look at her body. But I guess it could be. I guess we'll read and find out. "Hot dog," cried the class. "We got rid of Blansworth. Now we can do just as we please." And at the stroke of 10, the kids from 207 left the building. No one stopped them. They went straight to the movies where they saw The Monster That Ate Chicago twice. "This is really living," they said. Afterward, they went to Lulu's where they stuffed themselves silly. But soon they made a serious mistake. Heading back to school, they passed Miss Nelson's house. Miss Nelson couldn't believe her eyes. "Those are my kids," she said in a scratchy voice. "What are they doing out of school? And who is that with them?" Miss Nelson telephoned Mr. Blansworth to see what was going on. "You're not Miss Nelson," said Blansworth. "Miss Nelson is back." And he hung up. "Can't fool me," he said. Said Miss Nelson. "Something will have to be done." And she went to her closet. What do you think she's about to do, guys? Back in 207, Miss Nelson's kids were spending an agreeable afternoon. That means that they were just having a good old time in the class. Look at them, they're acting up. They were very pleased with themselves. "We should do this more often," they said. They did not notice the figure out in the hall. Slowly, the knob turned, and the door opened. I wonder who it is. "My name is Viola Swamp," said the lady in a scratchy voice. "Yipes!" cried the kids. "The swamp!" "That's right," said Miss Swamp, "and I'm here to whip this class into shape. Get back to those desks, on the double." The class did as it was told. The big kid from 309 was certainly right. Miss Swamp was a real witch. Look at Viola Swamp. She looks kind of mean, huh? Poor kids. She knew how to get results. The class did a whole week's work in no time. "We shouldn't have gotten rid of Blansworth," they said. "Pipe down," said the Swamp. "Or—" Just then, something under a desk attracted her attention. It was a mask. "Aha!" said Miss Swamp. "So that's your little game." And she tried on the mask, just as Mr. Blansworth stepped into the room. "Miss Nelson," said Blansworth, "I'm of the opinion that someone has been impersonating you." "Uh-oh," whispered the kids. "You don't say," said Miss Swamp. "Probably just some kids acting up. I'm sure it won't happen again." And Mr. Blansworth left. "And it won't, will it?" said Miss Swamp to the class. "Because the swamp will be watching." A minute later, Miss Nelson appeared. "I'm back," she said. "Hot dog," cried the kids. "Are we glad to see you." "Didn't you have fun with Mr. Blansworth?" asked Miss Nelson. Said the kids. They decided not to mention Miss Viola Swamp, but they wondered why Miss Nelson hadn't seen her in the hall. Why do you guys think Miss Nelson didn't see Viola Swamp in the hallway? I wonder what could have happened. Do you think they might have gone out of a different door? Do you think Viola Swamp is a real person? Tell me what your opinion is of what happens in the book under the comments. Get somebody to help you type it. And if you can't find somebody to help you type it, then when I see you at school tomorrow in the morning, tell me what you think really happened. Tell me why you think Miss Nelson didn't see Viola Swamp in the hallway. Alright guys, thank you for joining me for another read aloud. I hope that you enjoyed the book. I know I enjoyed it. It was super fun to read. And maybe next time we can read the other Miss Nelson book that I have in my classroom. But until then, I hope you guys have a good night. I hope you have sweet dreams. I love you very much and see you guys tomorrow. Bye, my friends.